Eu acho que é provavelmente sequência que será.
Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God and Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku prayer. Please stand. Taka amahara ni kamsumarimasu kamuro gi kamuro mino mikoto mochite sumemi oya kamuri zanagi no mikoto tsukushi no himuka no tachi hana no odo no ahari Aniya misogi harai tamo toki ni narimaseru harai dono o kami tachi moro moro no magagoto tsumi gegare o harai tamae kiyome tamae tomao tsukoto no yoshi o amatsu kami Nitsu kami ya oyorozu no kami tachi tomo ni ame no fujikoma no mi uritatete kikoshimese to kashikomi mumaozu Miroku om nikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Miroku om nikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Kum nagara tamachi haemase. Kum nagara tamachi haemase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei.
Meishu-sama, bless you.
Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. Honesty. Honesty is a true treasure, far more priceless than any earthly treasure. I am now spreading the divine teachings of God so more and more people may be awakened to truth and become truly honest. In order to help others become more virtuous and honest, those who serve must first rid themselves of all insincerity. I have been honest since childhood. I could not tell a lie. When I was young and starting out in business, I was often told, an honest man like you will not be successful. You have to learn how to tell lies if you want to be successful in the business world. I too thought so then. For a short period of time, I tried to do my best to lie, but it was sad. I was so miserable that I couldn't stand it. My life became dark, and my days were all unpleasant. Being a merchant, lying should have been useful for me in business, but somehow it didn't help. Finally, I made up my mind to remain honest to the end. From then on, results were unexpectedly good. The business world trusted me, so I succeeded by leaps and bounds. Later, when I left the world of business to concentrate on my spiritual work, I remained true to my decision to live by the principle of honesty. Naturally, the results have been good. In the beginning, I was misunderstood, criticized, and harassed. Yet, despite all the ups and downs in my life, people's trust in me did not drop. I believe strongly, even now, that this was due to the merit of honesty.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this Miroku Association morning service. In our prayers, we are keeping the victims of floods in Germany and Belgium, those affected by the heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. Today, I'd like to share this faith experience from Giuseppina Lanzavecchia. She's from Rome, Italy. Giuseppina Lanzavecchia was born in Genoa and lives in Rome. At the age of 18, she suffered from heart problems. And with the passage of time and various clinical tests, it was diagnosed she had a prolapse of the mitral and tricuspid valves. The various vicissitudes of life and the many moral and spiritual sufferings had caused her a state of mind of having constant conflict between feelings of guilt and resentment. Her physique was always getting worse, despite medical treatment reaching the maximum allowable dosage of prescription drugs. Several times she had been forced to go to the hospital emergency room to overcome the constantly present heart attacks, which prevented her from leading a normal life, even for the small daily things. She had to be careful about how she moved, and even just going to work distressed her because an acute crisis could break out at any moment. She had known a close friend for some years, and even though the latest events in their lives had alienated them, They still spoke on the phone occasionally. He too had serious heart problems, so much so that he was no longer able to work and was often forced to resort to life-saving drugs. One lucky day, sharing with him about her state of health, she learned that he was better, indeed quite well. He worked, went out, did not take medicines. In short, she could hardly believe what he was telling her. When he told her that his improvement was due to Johrei, he offered to take her to the Johrei Center. She was perplexed and declined the invitation, saying that eventually she would call him back. Some time passed, and her condition dramatically worsened, so much so that the cardiologist found an enlarged atrium and a more evident regurgitation of the heart valves. Worried, the doctor herself convinced her to seek the care of psychologists in the hope that it would help her not to somatize the existential problems she was going through on her heart. She called her friend back, and as the castaway clings to anything kept from drowning, she clung to the hope that the Johrei would help her as it had helped him. She approached our Johrei movement in the throes of a whirlwind of conflicting feelings, from skepticism to hope, from prevention to suspicion, from curiosity to inability to understand. But overall, the sense of humility with which she asked won, and with all her heart asked God and Meishu-sama to help her. This did not free her from the suspicion of some rip-off, and every time she expected to see the materialization of requests for money or things like that. It seemed impossible to her that in this materialistic world where only profit is pursued, there was someone who cared about the well-being of others without ulterior motives. Over time, however, she had to change her mind and began to bring her with her to the Johrei Center on various occasions, co-workers, friends, and acquaintances. Meanwhile, as her encounters with Johrei increased, she felt that she was improving physically, and to her disbelief, that the resentments, rebellions, and anger were less strong within her. Giuseppina felt that she was reborn. She was fine, had no more crisis. Her strength had returned, and her appearance had also improved. With a strong sense of gratitude, she received the sacred focal point or hikari and promised to extend its benefits to others as well. Human nature is such that it makes it difficult to maintain good intentions, and little by little, she began to be less assiduous in going to the Johrei Center and limited herself to attend the monthly appreciation services. Of course, because by that time she didn't have the poor health to encourage her. So it happened that one bad day, she had a very strong crisis and was hospitalized at the San Spirito Hospital. With the reappearance of the symptoms of her pathology, she returned to attend our church, but unlike the first time, she was struggling to regain a state of well-being. She understood what God wanted to teach her, that is, that she had to deserve what He bestows with love, keeping faith with the commitment assumed with herself, and always putting Him first in life, with conscience and constancy. After this careful analysis and after humbly accepting this reality, she began to feel better again until she reached physical and spiritual well-being. About 2 years had passed since she had regained her well-being and no longer had to undergo clinical tests, but felt that perhaps it was necessary to have a checkup. She redid all the clinical analysis. They struggled to find her prolapses, which they define as irrelevant. Regurgitation is almost non-existent, and her atrium is perfectly normal. Above all, her emotional self is healed, of any bad feelings. She rediscovered the love of God and Meishu-sama, who asks nothing better to help those who humbly ask him for help. Now she feels very joyful and dare to say aloud, I'm really happy. So this was a nice experience from Giuseppina from Rome, Italy. Thank you very much for listening to these words and hope to have your presence at our evening service. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion of our morning service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed day.